Hello everyone, popping in today just to share my thoughts on the latest Oshur playtest. I will mainly be focusing on the new Trident Relay facility as that was introduced to the continent this week, as well as focusing in on one of the central bases I got to play on, Bay Watchtower, that received some large changes. Later on in the video, I'll go over the changes to the playtest server more holistically, so stay tuned. Be sure to check out my Twitch for more playtests in the future, and without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Starting off, the Trident Relay facility is a truly striking sight to behold. Rising out of the water is a spire with no way up to the top other than by aircraft. For folks in the USA, it has an uncanny resemblance to Seattle's Space Needle. When you spawn, you actually go down into the central part of the base, where a series of open rooms and hallways peppered with windows leads you around a ring with 3 capture points. Being up so high into the water, reaching the base for attackers is a definite challenge. It seems pretty clear that without a lot of population, only a few defenders are necessary to easily push away any air coming to pay a visit. Attackers don't have to despair fully though. The base has an interesting setup in that, separate from the main, quote, bottom floor where capture points are located, there are 2 additional upper levels that are inaccessible from the bottom one. It is possible to deploy lodestars, anvil and sunders, or place routers and beacons in these areas to provide relatively secure spawns for attackers. From there, they'll have to fight their way along the outside of the Trident Relay facility to get inside via one of the 3 air pads. One thing I think might be a cool idea is for the campaign jump boost item to be buffed enough so that if you place one on the air pad, you can use it to get up to the other upper levels along the outside. As shown in this easy to understand diagram, I learned that you can only jump roughly 2/3 of the way there, but I think it would give it a tangible use case specifically for the Trident Relay facility. My initial impressions are that the conditions necessary to have a great fight here are specific, though not unlikely or rare, and when they are met, it is really satisfying to play in. However, it seems imperative that both attackers and defenders have large amounts of population to stabilize one another's spawn situation, as it's very hard for attackers to get into the base, and then very hard for defenders not to be spawn camped if attackers do get in. I also think as a defender, the meta may become to try and backcap the next base away, since it takes attackers a while to set up spawns and then work their way inside to a point. Meanwhile, the defending faction has all the time in the world to spawn an aircraft and zoom over to the next base in no time. Of course, this may not be a terrible thing, since the Trident Relay facility is meant to be a shortcut between the outer and inner rings of bases on Oshur. What I find interesting is that air control really matters in this base unlike any other. Short of having flak armor chilling down below in the water, the attacking faction only needs to handle any burster maxes in order to reliably get a spawn up above. Comment down below what you are most excited to see with the new Trident Relay facility. Let me know if there's any concerns you have with this unique base. The other base I got to play with quite a bit was a central one named Bay Watchtower. In Playtest 1, this base was just a normal tower with its A-point in between the bottom floor vehicle terminals. In Playtest 2, it's been turned into a 3-point base, and that A-point, and the entire tower really, has added cover that I found really intriguing. The added cover really focuses the player on progressing through the tower, since they aren't pained with checking every little angle. It also just gives it a bit more atmosphere, since you never know who's going to be around the corner. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this becoming the norm for all tower bases, but I definitely like it on this base. Oftentimes with Planetside 2's scale and the sheer number of enemies, getting good means checking around your back at every turn, which can be just as annoying as it is satisfying when it saves your spandex booty. This base's tower is a nice break from that. What I don't necessarily like about this base, however, is how hard it is to approach. From the west, the Sunderer Garage sits across this no man's land, and it really becomes a game of beacon and routers on the tippy top if you want to actually cap this base. I'd like to see some changes there for sure. For the remainder of this video, I want to talk about what went into the test server this past weekend, mainly focusing on changes not directly related to Oshur. Alongside this, please enjoy the new Galaxy bug that has been affectionately named Disco Galaxy. First off, the audio bug everyone was experiencing during Playtest 1 seems to be largely fixed. I played on Saturday and didn't even need to set my max audio channels to 64 like the playtest notes suggest to avoid losing sound in the 2 hours I played. There were fewer players during that test though, so I don't know if it's truly gone or not. Additionally, There are tons of bug changes for different areas of the map, mostly pertaining to gate shields, water effects, and collisions with map elements. Low and medium graphics settings also actually render everything as well, finally. Now for the spicy stuff. Squad beacons no longer have increased delays on spawn times. While I found this very nice on Oshur, I'm not sure how well this would shake out on other continents where other spawn options are more plentiful. Maybe this forebodes other spawn changes that are on the horizon. It doesn't seem that Bastions will tower over Oshur, as their terminals have been removed. Likely a good idea, despite how cool it would look. The patch notes say that the Banshee's minimum blast damage radius was decreased from 2 meters to 1.5. I think this might mean to say max blast damage instead of minimum, since otherwise it is a buff, which seems unlikely to me, so further testing would be needed to confirm. A load of welcome changes for the Ant come in the form of increased mining and depositing speeds, as well as increased sizes for small and medium-sized Cordium nodes. The Sea Barrier utility gets its armor increased by 50%, while the Transport Cloak gets removed. Turns out that having a large, high HP vehicle that can be invisible and run over new players isn't good for your game after all. Lodestars and Wasps, which are bound to be important on Oshur, get a nanite cost reduction, and all vehicles get a dot crosshair when in third person. Now if only we can get an option for the same thing whenever logging into the game. There are lots of other changes to different bases on Oshur, mainly alterations based on playtest feedback, different spawn locations, teleporter setups, spawn protection features for attackers, and the like. You can read through them here. The big one for me that I mentioned earlier is that Mirror Bay Watchtower is now a 3-point base with additional cover on the A point, making a very unique central base on Oshur. Anyways, thanks for watching everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and be sure to drop by on Twitch to chat, and I'll see you all next time.